Kami yung maingay.
Ay, okay, naka-silent naman siya.
Naka-silent po.
Oo.
It's easy to judge families by what we see. But it's what we don't see.
I love you.
Those genuine moments at home that define who we are and what we can be. Let's celebrate what's made at home. We are homemade.
It's not easy to raise children, especially in the context of modern day struggles like juggling work, family time, peer pressure. Peer pressure is always there, and also being a single parent. Add to that we even have to take it from social media, that we are judged for every single action that we do for our kids, or every missed action, something that we didn't do for our kids. But as any mom or dad would say, all the challenges are worth it as long as we can provide the best environment for our children. If we can have love, trust, and if they're still alive, then they're still fine, right? It's really hard. But I'm Rica Peralejo Bonifacio, and today I will be your host, and the goal today is to know how can parents cultivate a strong learning environment at home. And we're gonna know more from our guests today. Let's start with Miss Maribel Janicio.
Hello,
I've known Miss
morning.
Maribel for so long. We worked together like many years ago. She's a
Right.
family and relationship consultant and a mom of 3 grown children. The ages are?
Raf is 30,
30.
David is 28, and Jika is 22.
Oh yun, expert na talaga. Hindi lang expert because consultant, but you have real life
to use,
experience.
yes.
Correct. And then we also have a good friend. I was just with her yesterday, Dimples Romana, an actress, entrepreneur, and mom of 2 kids. And very interesting because your eldest is how old?
Callie is about 12 years old. She's turning 13 this year. And then Alonso is just 1.
Ang laki ng gap! So we really
Plenty of
have...
time to rest.
That's true.
So may pahinga sa
learn.
gitna, but also you can later on when I ask you questions, you're gonna be able to tell us the difference of mothering back then and mothering today. And of course, our third guest, Miss Raisa Tan, who is a radio show host and also a single mom to 2 kids, ages?
Ages 8 and 7.
Okay, very interesting yung guests natin today. Very different. You come from different backgrounds. So let's shoot it. Let's begin our discussion with first, what's your parenting style?
My parenting style.
You were saying earlier before we went on air that there are 4 parenting styles.
Right. Therefore,
I mean,
parenting styles.
technically, if you study
generally.
it.
The first one is what many people still use is the autocratic style. I'm the boss. I say,
Yun.
you follow what I say. Okay?
Yeah.
We have no word. I won't hear you out. I dictate. So you're the dictator parent. At the other end is a permissive parent. Whatever do you like, my anak, I will get it for you.
Yeah.
You're the boss.
Yeah.
So the
And
first
I'm
is
the slave.
parent-led, but the
Yeah.
second is child-led.
Child-led,
Okay.
and the parent is the slave. And the third one is what we want to encourage actually, the democratic style of parenting, which is really encouraging. We lead, but we also listen. We're still respectful, and we attend to the needs of our kids. We don't spank, we don't scream. We talk a lot. There's a lot of communication. And the fourth one is a combination of all three. Which parents
May
have,
ganun
many parents have a combination of permissive and autocratic. They're so strict now, but when their kid is so strong and very persevering, they say, okay, bahala ka na.
So
they
it's like
shift,
extremes.
which is not good,
Walang
actually.
middle ground. There's no middle ground.
I just mention
for
it because people say, what if I have a combination? Yes, we can have a combination, and the combination of autocratic permissive is generally not good.
But what's yours? I want to know more about yours.
Yeah, mine, I developed and learned eventually. It's a good thing my kid was just 2 years old when I took the parenting course. The democratic style of parenting, which is really what I've used all these 30 years with my
for
kids.
all three, because
With
some
all
parents,
three.
diba, the beginning, they're like this. And then they
Yes.
learn later on to
Right.
be a better parent.
Yes.
Right? So, but for you, all three, democratic.
Most parents are autocratic in the beginning, then they realize they have difficulties, then they shift to either permissive or become eventually
But
democratic.
yours is democratic. Okay,
Yes.
for all three. How about you, Dimples?
Ako siguro, ate, I think I'd like to think that I've already learned how to be democratic like
Yeah.
that. But at some points, I think it also depends on the children.
Okay.
Because whatever works for your children. So
Okay.
sometimes you need to be the boss if they're too pushy. So I try to do that. So
Okay.
every now and then I try to see what works for my children. For Kali, it's really more of the democratic because she's almost a teenager. So I have to be
Yes.
the boss.
So
but at
different
the same
stages
time,
in
a
life
best friend.
also.
Yes.
Correct.
And for Alonzo, I think it's more of being the boss because he's just one.
Guiding, yes.
Yes, so it's
Yes.
for guidance and
Yes.
for him to learn more about,
Right.
to set the foundations of
Correct.
respect, trust,
Yes.
and all
Yes.
those things that he has to learn while he's still very young. But for Kali, since all those foundations have been laid already, I don't have any problems with that.
So yours is a very big difference kasi
Different.
in
Yes.
between, right?
Opo.
So many years of rest.
Yes.
Yeah. But for you, it isn't like that because they're
They're
very
like-
close
They're
in
very
age,
close.
right?
They're like twins.
10 months actually.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh.
So practically, you can just use the same kind of parenting on
So
both
I
of them.
actually started off with authoritative because when
Okay.
you have two kids, medyo sabay, parang
Yeah.
you need to keep them under control. Parang sit. Parang it's like puppies, stay. But now that they're older, they're both 7 and 8. I've developed the whole Lorelai Gilmore parenting kind of thing.
Right.
From the Gilmore Girls, you want to be their best friend.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because especially since they're boys and I'm a girl, I'm a mom.
Okay.
I need them to know that no matter what you're going through as a boy,
Yeah.
you need to know that you can always come to me.
Right, right.
There are certain topics na talagang pang men and stuff that
Right.
unfortunately what we lack in our household. So I need them to know no matter what, no matter how manly that thing is, you come to me.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I'm curious, no? Kasi stages play a big part on how you will, what your parenting style is.
Yes.
But also, I want to know, you have very different careers, eh? Does that play a part as well? Like, because you're a celebrity, you're a show host, and a writer, and a consultant, does that affect the way you parent your children also? Do you think?
Well, for me particularly, I just want to point out that as for celebrity moms or parents in general, even for celebrity dads, I think the most challenging of all is to limit your children into feeling that they're entitled. Because celebrities mostly get a pass on everything.
Very
you get
good, yeah.
free everything, free like this, by the line. They ask you to come up right away. And I don't want my children growing up feeling like they can do everything they want to
Yes.
do.
It's the
So-
rock star child, eh,
Yeah,
diba?
so
Yung
I
ganun.
don't want them to feel that, and I try to develop as much as possible a very normal, regular. So at home
Good,
po, I'm not
yes.
artista. I wash whatever I need to wash. I watch
Correct.
them. I teach them. I get dirty with them. But when I'm artista, then I have to be that.
Yeah.
I'm so happy because we all have to be reflexive of our own backgrounds, right? Kung celebrity ka, that's a real struggle that you have to deal with. How about you?
The only issue I had before was just like siguro work.
Okay.
Work as well. Apart from being a radio talk show host, I was also working in a parenting website.
Okay.
And it was an office job, 9 to 5.
So it's the time, the
It was the
schedule.
time. Especially with the children so young, you really want to be there for them. But
Correct.
you're battling with, as a mom, you have to provide for them. It's
true.
But then you have to be there for them. So how do you do that? So that was my struggle back then.
How about Miss Maribel? This is
Well,
so funny because you're a consultant. Your
I know.
Your whole job is on the family.
actually do that.
And then, baka
I'm in a
you're the
fish
child,
bowl.
parang, true, Mommy, what happened to the rice bowl? Kasi di ba we have all have our fallen moments as
True,
moms.
true.
So does it
I
ever?
know.
What's the
so I have to
conflict?
remove it from my mind all the time. I'm a mom, and I have the information. I will use it. I will try it. I'll let it work. Never mind what people might say, because that can affect. You know, we have to be genuine, to be true with our kids, and when they do things outside, like one of my sons didn't like to go to school. So you do the usual thing of just talking it out. It's all right, we'll wait, and you can see other people say, oh, ayaw pumasok yung anak niya.
Yeah.
Parang, so what's all that parenting, So there's
Right.
things like that.
Right.
And
Right.
I don't
Yun
want,
eh,
and I
diba?
don't want my kids also to have this feeling that they have to level up or behave in a way
Yes,
because they're
because
also, so we remove that so that make it as normal as possible. I
It's
think
very nice to hear that
important.
from all of you because you're
Yes.
so aware
Right.
of where you're coming
Yeah.
from. Okay, let's move on to technology. Okay. Technology, is it good or bad? That's the forever question, the eternal question. First muna, because you're the expert, our expert here,
Yeah.
Ms. Maribel. How does technology affect our parenting style? Does it? I mean, does it have any effect on a mom who's always on
It
social
has its
media?
positive and negative, information is available if our kids need it or we need it. It's easy, but I think really the struggle of most parents today, both parents and kids might be glued to their gadgets,
Yeah.
and therefore managing the time of use of the gadget will eat up on parent-child time or family time. So, and of course, it's a distraction for studying also. So there are guidelines that have been set. We did a study in 2011 about these gadgets and use of technology, that it has to really be regulated for our children.
I think that's been overstated by a lot of websites, a
Yes.
lot of
Yes.
parenting tips. Na
Right.
It has to be regulated. By the way, since we're talking about technology, to everyone who's watching, please use the hashtag #WeAreHomemade. And we're gonna see all of your comments. If you have questions, I'm pretty sure you wanna ask us some more. This is, feeding your minds right now. So do join us in our live discussion today. So let's get back to the technology. How about for you guys? Does it help you or does it not help you to have technology today?
Well, as for my work, as for our work,
Uh-huh.
it's really very helpful. It's one of the things that actually help us to reach out more to our audience.
Correct.
We become good friends with them. We
But as a
actually
mom.
connect with them. But as a mom, truthfully, I have to tell you that, I have a thing because we love books and we love things, and Callie doesn't even like ebooks.
Okay.
She's not a big fan of that. But because Callie loves watching videos that are uploaded that teach a lot of different skills, like maybe calligraphy or
Yes.
baking.
So educational.
So educational
Yes.
for
That's
us.
right, yeah.
But with guidance, I guess, and regulation, it will be
Right.
perfect.
Right.
But it's so hard because there's a very thin line. I always tell Callie, you know what? Whenever you're on social media, you actually subject yourself to a lot of criticisms. And just like when you are a celebrity or just like any other person, when you're out there, anybody can say whatever they want to say to you.
Right.
And you're going to have to know how to cope up with that or how to deal with it.
Correct.
So with Callie, that's what I tell her. Like Callie on Instagram has maybe 34,000 followers.
Right.
So I tell her to be more responsible in using
That's
social
very
media.
good that you give her responsibility but not pressure.
Yes, not
to be
pressure.
a certain way just because the people want
Yes,
her to
alam
be
mo
like
ate that
okay.
Callie is an introvert. So
Yes.
talagang,
That's another topic. Nako, Rappler, maybe you can discuss that someday. I
Yes.
want a discussion on introversion. But okay, let's not digress. How about for you, Raisa? Has it been of help or of harm?
It makes you wonder as a parent, number one, what am I doing wrong? Because I don't know if it's just me, but I noticed like my kids are like attached to their gadget.
Right.
And you think, but once upon a time, my parents had nothing. But I was happy climbing up trees, happy
Yes,
going out in the
yes,
backyard.
yes, yes.
And now my children are like, ugh, what is this nature? Dumi ko. Parang they're like that. So I'm just like, am I a failure in that sense? But of course, as a busy person, sometimes it's just so much easier to give them a
Yeah.
gadget just to keep them busy. And I think at their age, my only concern is how they interact with their peers.
So
'Cause
social.
no matter how much you say, oh, we'll limit your time to this, when you're like using the gadget and stuff. But when they're in school, they borrow their friends' game and their
Right.
gadgets,
Yeah.
and they learn about all these games and
So
all
in
these
it,
terms.
it's inescapable.
It's
always gonna
no
be
matter
there.
how you try to shelter them or try to set limits, they'll find a way to break
I
it.
know. I mean, personally, as a mom, not really just for my child, right? But when I was pregnant and then when he was newborn, I think technology helped me a lot because Google was my best friend.
Right.
I don't know why is my breastfeeding experience like this? Okay, Google. And then you get an answer. You even
Quickly,
find
yeah.
communities that are able to help you. But then also, it feeds a lot of negative stuff in my head. Like, it creates fear because, you know, I've been absorbing too much of the negative stuff as well. I didn't know how to filter back then. So for you guys, how do you strike a balance? Because we know that technology is not all bad,
Yeah.
but it isn't also all good. So how do you strike a balance?
Yeah, so you have to know what your values are as a family and decide. Like in our case, we never brought in the cable TV.
Oh, wow.
So our kids,
Grabe.
ever.
Wow.
Ever.
Wow.
And now that my kids are grown up, my husband and I say, let's get the cable TV. And you know what our kids said?
What for?
No way, Mom.
Oh, wow.
Because you're the ones going to be glued and Papa will be glued. We cannot talk to you. So they know what our favorite.
But earlier you were saying give them an alternative. I think
We
if
gave
you
them an
don't have
alternative,
TV
yeah.
and then you're bored all day in the house,
We
why
had
would I
regular
want to stay
TV.
here?
At the time, we could rent CDs and DVDs, so they had that option. And of course, it encouraged them to get involved in school activities, which was plentiful. And we just lived near the school, so it was really so easy.
Okay.
So alternatives are very important so that they don't resent it.
Yeah.
So
Right.
they encourage other families, and they say, I really didn't lose on much, or, you know, sometimes I feel uncomfortable, I don't know what they're talking about, but
Yeah.
it's okay.
Kayo, you didn't have cable TV. My husband grew up without TV.
Wow,
At
diba?
all. And you know what? I think you're going to be judged no matter what. Even way before
yeah.
social media, other people are going to say, why don't you have TV or you don't have
Right.
cable TV?
Right.
And your kids are going to encounter that. What did they answer?
Not only that, my kids would go first to the neighbors and watch
Oh,
cable
yan.
TV
Oo,
there.
correct.
You know, or live in a townhouse, so ang dami, they go in and
So
out.
it's really there.
But we allowed it for a while, but at least when they got home, and because we explained it, we offered an alternative, they were pretty much all right. Later on, they
Right.
realized, yeah, it was good, we didn't have it because we discovered a lot more things outside.
I think what I'm
out
getting
there.
from this is that as of the moment when you're a kid, you think it's corny.
Yes.
But years later,
Yes.
you'll see the value.
Right.
And as a parent, I think
Yeah.
you just have to stick by what you think is right.
You stick by and continually talk to that kid and find out, reduce the resentment and anger in that
Yeah.
area, educate them, enroll them the idea why we're doing this, so that it will really be of service to them and everybody at home.
Like what I was saying earlier, the other problem is, okay, sige, you're fine with your kids, but then they go out and they get judged for some things that they
Yeah.
cannot do or can do. So parent judging has always been there. I think some parents think now we're only being judged today because there's
No.
social media, but it has been going on
Yeah.
forever.
Sure. Yes, yes.
Other moms and dads will always have something to say about your style. So I guess for Dimples muna, no? So what pressures or expectations do busy and working moms go through in this age of parent
In
judging?
this age, Ate, kasi you were saying no, that it's been, parent judging has been going on for quite some time now. And I
Correct.
remember, may I just cite no, that I had a sister had leukemia for 3 years. So my mom didn't have so much time to spend with me. And I went to a public school back when I was younger. And so I wasn't as prepared. So lagi akong either mali yung pagkakasingtas ko or darating ako doon, wala akong
Yun.
baon.
Yeah.
And you know, I heard a lot of parents really saying na tingnan mo yan si Diane, kasi Diane's my real name. So say, tingnan mo si Diane, hindi na to na inalagaan ng nanay niya. And I'm like, no, because my mom is going through something at home and I would rather just do everything on my own to help her out.
That's what you were thinking.
Yes.
Even as a child.
Even as a child, because
Ang mature.
when you
Mature,
are
yeah.
when you're exposed to, when your family is exposed to something as grave as cancer,
Yeah.
you have to adapt. And somehow, when I was smaller, nadala ko yun even until now. I think our
Right,
parenting
right,
styles
right.
also are influenced by how we grew up, how we were
definitely,
raised.
of course.
We take in the good, we take out the bad. So as for me, we were really guided upon having an example like my papa and my mama to really be resilient in times of adversity. So up until now, when like for example social media, isa na lang kasi yan sa mga factors, hindi naman yan lahat din ang nakakaapekto with us. But for now, I really try to tune it out, like what you said earlier, you know, and just try to forget about, you know what, kasi minsan, like for example, when I had Callie, I was really young, I was 19, and nobody believed I can be a good mom. And boy, were they not shy to tell me. Because they weren't shy at all. They really told me, you know what, you're too young, can't do this. Alam mo, paalaga mo na lang yan, ganito, ganyan. And you know, at that time I was thinking, baka nga hindi ko kaya. Kasi may effect yun sa'yo eh.
And you were very young.
I was very young. Lalo na ngayon, ate, that everything is magnified through the social media. I'm sure you've seen about the alligator mom. And we've had our tidbits of comments and opinions. And sometimes, hindi naman hinihingi, but we feel that we have to say it. And we don't realize that these are actual moms. These are actual persons that when they hear what we're telling them, makakasakit sa feelings nila, and that will have an enormous effect on how they are going to be as parents in the future. So like now the newest campaign of Tang talks about no to parent judging, which is so perfect. It's when you get to watch a video, it's so powerful and so moving that it somehow creeps into you na parang, wait a minute, at some point in my life, even as a parent, I've already judged other parents based on what I see on their children. Or even the parents as well. For example, if you have a coworker who looks like she didn't fix herself up, but at home she fixed everybody up. Right? So these are the things that you know Tang was able to point out.
Because you really don't know where this mom is coming from, right? I mean, she may have had a very hard week, and there you are judging her.
I think whether you are a celebrity or a non-celebrity, all challenges and pressures are always there, and you just need to, you know, be able to be open to communication from other people to help you learn.
I agree with that. But, you know, I wanted to ask Raisa, because you're a single mom. I think that's, I mean, if they find out, you're prone to, you know, other people just really formulating a lot of opinions in their heads.
Oh yeah,
right?
I'm used to it.
And you wrote about it. You had this viral thing going on, that mom, right? What did you call it again?
So mother of that child.
Mother of that child.
Because my youngest, unfortunately, took the route of like my relationship with their father falling apart. So I mean, when you're a child, you don't know how to process it well. And I'm not excusing his angry behavior, because what happened was he'd lash out. He'd hit other children, he'd walk out of class, like the epitome of like the evil child, like the child you do not want to mess with. And unfortunately, I was the mom. So the root of parent judging, I would feel as soon as I stepped into the school, as soon as I stepped out of the elevator, wala pa ako nasasabi, parang I already feel everyone's eyes.
I know, the truth is, even if they don't speak, you
know, you feel it. You just feel it.
This is why
not
also,
silly.
I mean, I'm not saying that I haven't judged. I'm also guilty of that.
Yes.
And this is when I became a parent, I became more reflexive of the way I look at a person. You know, when kids are noisy in the restaurant,
you're looking at
who's the mom of this kid? Now I'm like, who's the mom of this kid? I just really want to help her. Nag-iiba na yung perspective mo. But I'm sure you got a lot of that in your
I got
kids
flack.
too.
I got flack. You know?
And what did you do? I mean, like, for you, I mean, after everything in retrospect, what is a good way to handle? Because you can't escape it also.
First thing, I think no one ever says this, but cry.
Yeah.
You need to cry.
Well, that's why you were looking for tissue earlier. Kasi baka
Here you go. Tissue. Wait lang. I'm with actresses. I'm not prepared.
So,
you need to let the emotions out, because the whole notion of moms being super mom, that's not a bad thing, but you need to know that moms break.
Moms have
Moms
feelings
break.
too.
and
We
that,
get hurt.
that moms break and it's not bad.
It's not.
It doesn't
it's
mean
not bad at
you
all.
failed, right?
You just need to cry. Let all of that out. Let all of the negativity out. I mean, we're human. Come on.
Yes.
And then once you get, you stand up again, you're just like, okay. Number one, I don't even know your names. I don't know your names, and I'm sorry if my child has hit your child. Like, I'm always apologetic. Like I said, I don't condone my child's behavior at all.
Okay.
Right? But at the same time, I need to look after my kid. How can I help my kid? So that's, you come to a point in your parenting when you're just like, everyone just shush.
Right.
I'm gonna look for the help that my child needs. If that means I have to pull him out of that school and put him somewhere else, then so be it. So like second quarter pa lang, I pulled them out na. And I looked for a better school in terms of like, are the people trained to handle a child like mine? because some teachers say na, I went to this school, you know, I learned from the best. Hindi eh. Sometimes it's like,
Yes.
you're training, like you went through training,
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
you know?
It's also kasi unique for every
Exactly.
home, every mom, every child.
Exactly.
You're the expert. How can this be fixed? Because it seems like technology, it's inescapable as well.
Yeah.
People judge whether you're a mom or you're single.
Yeah.
Judgment is there.
Regardless,
Can
yeah.
this ever be fixed?
Well, it can be fixed. We just have to close our ears. That's one. Because I think it's human nature that people judge, and sometimes when they judge, they can mean well, but the process or the words that they use are just hurtful.
Yeah.
Okay. But of course, there's some who are really just so judgmental and just so critical. Stay away from them and just close your ears. That's why we have to build our self-worth. We have to know ourselves so that you know whatever they say, we just shut off, put up that metal shield, get away, or change schools if we need to,
Right,
if
right.
it gets to really that bad. But also building our children so that they know also how to handle whatever they may hear as well. You know, because among the classmates, from the parents to the children, it will flow down. So we have to also strengthen
Yeah.
the ego of our children as well.
Correct. You know, I don't think it'll ever be fixed. Parent
Yes, yes,
judging,
yes, yes.
right?
Never.
But I think we can guard ourselves
Yes. Yeah.
from it.
Yes.
You know, Rappler asked me about a few weeks ago about, you know, how do you guard yourself from it? And my answer was, you need advice from other people, but you don't need to get it on social media. So if you have a set of people already guiding you into, no one's done this before.
Get your
I mean,
team of
wala naman-
consultants
You
that
can't
you
go to
can
college
trust.
and say, I want to learn motherhood, right?
Yeah.
So, but if you have people who, like you,
Yeah.
you've done this 3 times and for so many years, so if I ask you, then I know I'm getting sound advice. Then it'll help me to tune out everything else that they're saying online, di ba?
Right.
So maybe we can apply that. So let's be more inspirational because parang heavy naman yung judging, di ba? But okay, so there are pressures, challenges, but how do you find the strength to be the mom that you're supposed to be? How can you empower yourself? Is there any way that you do this? Like read up or get it from your parents or your husband?
Ako po ate, in my case, I feel most empowered when I talk to a lot of women like you and
good.
listen to sound advice from people who have done it before or at least are going through something.
that's
Because
good.
usually masarap makinig sa mga abiso ng mga taong actually dinadaanan yun ngayon eh.
Right.
So ako lang, I also spread a lot of love to people I meet. I know it's a bit medyo cliche-ish, pero para sa akin, ang parent judging can be, at least if not matanggal, mabawasan. I mean, if we all try to be as kind and we try to be as compassionate to other people, to other moms, and then they can pass that along to the other parents that they'll meet along the way.
Hopefully.
Kasi like, for example, hopefully, no, I always try to be as,
Especially if you
hopeful.
speak in a way, you say, maybe this is what you meant. And
Yes,
then maybe
yes.
that person
You know,
will tone
language
down.
plays a
yes.
part.
Make it more
And the
graceful.
tone.
Okay,
Yes.
I wanna dwell
Right.
more on that.
Yeah.
How can, because sometimes opinions are welcome
Yes.
in the way, just because of the way that somebody presented it,
Yes.
right? So what kind of language should we use?
Delivery is very
Delivery.
crucial.
We
We
Yes.
should
The
avoid
choice of
yung,
words.
kasi naman,
Yeah.
kasi naman, sorry te.
Kasi diba, sometimes you're not even judging, but it's the way you
Yeah,
said
then
say
it.
it.
the
I guess-
person won't be receptive. They'll shut down. They'll be like, oh, you're
Correct.
judging
I
me
guess
now.
it also applies now. However you want other moms to tell you, then
Right.
that's the way you should tell them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Kasi if you don't also want na
Correct.
parang pasinghal yung pagsasabi sa'yo or negatively, then deliver it in a way that's so lovingly. I mean, all moms are all loving.
and not judging.
They say
All
that
loving.
even if you
Yes.
said the right thing, if you said it the wrong way, then it's
Yes.
still the
Sometimes
wrong
nga
thing.
kahit
Right.
na sobrang mean ng sasabihin mo, but because you said it in such a loving manner,
Yes.
you actually, what it delivers to your head is like, you know what, she actually has genuine concern for me.
Yes,
So if I do that, and sometimes when you befriend the person you want to change
Right.
or you want to have an effect on, sometimes it helps.
We have people joining us on Twitter. Hi, everyone. But here's the question. What advice do you guys have for people who don't have kids yet? How do they prepare, basically? I want you to answer this because it's always better in hindsight, right? Diba? What could have I done?
Yeah,
when I
you
was
first
younger?
before me. Okay.
Oo nga, kasi expert na si Doktora. You know, but di ba they always say that when a child is born, the parent is born at the same time. So I think you can never ever be prepared for something like motherhood. It just comes out naturally, and we all have been blessed with that instinct on how we're going to mother our children. So ako medyo believer ako na parang pag nandyan na yung anak mo, that's when you know what, you actually, tayo lang mga mommies, we sometimes think na parang we're not doing enough, we're not enough, but in truth, we are enough. As a woman, you are enough, and you just need to believe that so it transcends to your children. And when you believe yourself enough, your children grows up to be your children will grow up to be secured, and they will feel that they belong to a family, regardless whether you have the father or the mother there. So long as they feel so much love, there's so much love that they don't have any room for hate or judgment, and then eventually, hopefully, the parent judging will end.
How about for you, Raisa? I'm pretty interested because you're a single mom. Do you have? I'm sure you have regrets, but anything that you've learned so strongly from your experience?
You know, that's a great thing that you said. Like a lot of people say, I don't regret it, or I don't regret it. But it's okay to say that I do regret. Like what would my life have been if I had waited, had them longer, blah, blah, blah. But that's just, a thought process. And once again, I need the moms to know that that's normal.
Yeah.
Don't think you're weird. Don't think you're weird. Once again, I have to agree with your point. It's just really believing in yourself and knowing yourself, which in itself is already a struggle.
Yeah.
Because growing up, you're always looking, who am I, blah, 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 blah. And it compounds when you become a mother because people give you so much advice.
Yeah.
And although they either mean well or don't, you lose yourself in that. So I'm glad I've already reached that point where I'm just like, goodbye.
You know,
like,
you
the
when to
limousine,
listen,
the
and then
window.
you know
Parang,
when,
I know when to listen and when to just,
when not to.
just graciously nod my head.
Correct.
Oo, tama.
Because you don't naman really have to get into a fight with them. Miss Maribel, you said earlier that parents should, always update themselves. Diba?
Yeah.
Na parang go to parenting seminars, that's very good for them. But do single people also, are they welcome in these kinds of things?
Of course. Any parent or substitute parent,
Yeah.
surrogate parents. The key here, like when I attended the course, my son was just 2 years old, and I realized I had a little bit of the dictator, and because how to talk to them properly starts when they're young, so that we develop that good relationship. So the love we have is there. I agree. It's all there. But our love, we have to direct it to the kind of love that child number 1 needs, and child number 2 needs, and child number 3 needs, because they're all different. Yes. So that how to apply it, and therefore having that basic principle is important. Like for instance, the first one we say, parents, make time for your children to get to know each child because they're unique. And some parents will say, no, but this child of mine doesn't like to make time. I said, but if they're less than 10 years old, try to make that regular time, even if it's just 20 minutes. Maybe the other child will need an hour. So you make changes depending precisely on the need. But it will be helpful rather than guessing. This is what we hear with parents. I think these parents are the lucky ones who have it gut feel. But not so many parents are lucky to have it, naturally in them as to what to do. Thinking that they're loving their children enough, when in fact you talk to the children, no, I don't feel loved. And sayang naman, all that energy the parent was given because it did not match. Because maybe the parent was so much of a dictator, and this child wanted to be asked and not to be dictated upon.
This is like yung 4 love languages.
Yes,
service.
It's
5 love languages.
Quality time, service,
affirmation,
gifts,
touch,
yun.
gifts.
Words.
That's what I learned. Even with the spouses, right? Even with their friends, even
Right.
if you like giving gifts, if they don't really receive or see
Yes.
that as love, then you're communicating a different thing.
Because there's a tendency, you have 2 kids, you have 3 kids, and we have so
All the
much
same.
little time. All of you spaghetti na lang with cheese. All of you. You pala, one wants noodles only, the other wants the meat
correct.
only, the other wants
You
the
know
cheese
what
only.
though? I was at service last Sunday and we were talking about honor your parents, honor your mother and your father, right? And our pastor said something really, really insightful. As children, we sometimes expect we expect more from our parents, even way more than what we would expect from ourselves. Na parang we just want them to be perfect. So when they don't
And they
do
view
it correctly,
parents as perfect, actually.
I call that to mind because of what you said na it's spaghetti na lang. Because sometimes there are days na it's just really spaghetti.
Yes.
It's all mixed up. You really can't think well and you can't do it like uniquely for each
Right,
child just
right.
because you're tired.
Yes,
right?
yes.
And your children are asking for more, and
Right.
they're setting such a high standard that it's not impossible.
Hopefully
for
once
you.
in a while lang yon. But I
Oh.
think the basic orientation, if the parents know about it, we will enjoy parenting.
Yeah.
We have to, it's like time management is very crucial because we have many
Yes.
things to do.
Time management, paano yan?
What is time management?
Okay.
What is this term you
I
speak
did a
of?
weekly date with each child. That's the recommendation. So Rafael was every Monday. We had a 50 peso budget.
That's so cute.
For an hour, we choose a restaurant.
That's so cute.
And, we sit down, whether they're 3 years old, 5 years old, and it's only up to about 11 or 12 years old.
Yeah.
After that, no, bye mom, I'm out with my friends.
Yeah.
But when I did that with all my 3 kids, oh my gosh, up to now, they'll still talk to me at 1 a.m., 2 a.m.
What's your
They-
advice if you have like 6 kids? Kasi parang if you date naman every day of the
No,
week, parang...
di-
Parang ubos
di-
ba?
Hindi
di-
every day, merong
di-
date
at least
bago.
even once a month, one per child.
Or
You know, for
family
the child-
meeting, maybe.
A family meeting is everybody. You want a one-on-one. One-on-one,
parang
really.
a special
Yeah.
time,
Yes,
right?
a special one. Even if it's once a month, hopefully not just their birthday, but even if you have it maybe, 3 times a year, these are special days.
I ask
it's
that
delivering it.
because we all come from different sizes as
Yeah.
well,
Right.
diba? And time can really be an issue. And I wanted Miss Maribel as our expert to tell everyone na this is not the only way
Yeah.
of doing things, right?
Yes.
So we should be open
Yes.
to different styles.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about so much already, and we still have people on Twitter. Here's one question naman from Twitter. We are homemade. How far is too far when it comes to implementing disciplinary action when your child does something wrong?
Well, I discourage really spanking, shouting, hitting, anything physical, but use
Naku, I'm not
consequences.
pasado with her.
Ako rin.
Ako din,
Ay,
bagsak na. I was
yeah,
like,
nako,
I give the rod.
Not that I didn't shout, but we say discourage. That's why we have to take care of ourselves as parents, because when we're tired, it's just so easy for us.
I think
to-
shouting can be really controlled,
Yes,
no?
yes.
I
But
mean,
the spanking, letting them, I'm still surprised. There's still kids who have to kneel down on asin.
Doktor, meron pa ba
Oh my
yun?
gosh.
when we're
I'm
talking
still- I'm
about
still
spanking
shocked,
kasi, I think
you
it's the olden
Yes,
form, the
yes.
traditional luhod sa asin, and then
Ako naman yung may
pinapalo ng
question.
sinturon.
Paano ate?
Oh,
Doktor,
ikaw na
paano yung
nag-question.
pagka... Kasi I cry. Pag pinapagalitan ko si Kali, somehow I feel I'm failing. So, I start crying. I don't know
What
if it's
do you
the
do?
actress
What-
in me.
what do you do?
Parang...
I have
You spank
heard
or you scream?
so
I
many
spank,
moms
but
like
the thing
this.
is, I wanted to stop spanking, so I try to deliver it in the most loving, most sincere way, and sometimes I end up crying.
Right.
So tuloy,
There's
somehow
guilt, no?
there's
Yeah.
guilt.
Yeah.
I cry in front of Kali. I don't know if that's okay.
is that effective?
She must be confused.
No,
Why?
she's sad and she hugs me
Also.
and she tells me,
Right.
"Mommy, I don't ever want to make you cry ever
Right.
again." So after that, I don't remember having to talk to her about that same topic. So I guess that was effective, but I did not do that on purpose. Parang lumabas lang na
Yes.
parang, what am I doing wrong?
Maybe with some kids it might work, but they might feel guilty, and we don't like to add guilt to
Again,
them.
no,
They
we
don't-
go
Yeah.
back to how unique your child
Right.
is.
So iba-iba
Right.
talaga. Kasi for
Yes.
Kali, it worked for us. And
Yeah.
somehow it became a strong bond between us because she felt she didn't want to hurt me. And because that action of hers hurts me, hindi na niya ginagawa.
You know, I've seen a lot of, I've heard of a lot, not naman seen, no, because these moms, these friend moms that I have, who give the rod, who spank, are very orderly and properly in what they do, that their children really receive it properly. So I think there's a way that you can do this, and again, no, it's always how unique is this to your child? How does this child receive it, diba? I just don't want to be prescriptive na don't do this, right? We don't know where you're coming from. If you're a mom, you're watching us, we don't know where you're coming from. It is always best, di ba, na may community. How about that, Miss Maribel?
Miss,
Maybe
there
that you have someone, like a guidance counselor of some sort for
a family
mom?
counselor
Yeah.
or somebody you can talk to and relate with, because really I've seen so many moms really just so sad, and they told me, why don't they require this and teach us while our kids are young?
Yeah.
Because once they're about 11 and teenagers, that's when we
That's when
see
it goes
all the
wrong, yeah.
effects
Right.
of what we did before that will come out. So as you said, it's good to befriend parents who are 10 years older than your kids,
Yes.
so that you will
Yes.
not
They've
commit the
already
same
experienced.
mistakes. Yeah, and learn
Mahirap
from
kasi
that.
baka you're same stage.
At same stage, yeah. So that because repair work can be done,
Yeah.
but it's so difficult, and the pain that the parent, the parents say, I was at home, I'm full time na nga, I'm taking care of them, I did pa the wrong things. So that one talaga nakakaawa.
So you suggest that a family counselor is always there.
A family
Parang you have
counselor,
someone.
getting information on parenting is important. This book that Queen and I
Oh, you know
work
what?
on,
Books also help.
Nice.
the
ano?
10 guidelines of parents, which I summarized in A to
Yes.
F. And this Growing Up Wired was the
I
next
have
one
that.
in 2013 about the technology. But really, just like in anything in life, there is a system, there's a science to parenting. So help ourselves so that we will enjoy it. Because parenting is there for
You know,
us
I
to
like what you're
enjoy.
saying, na enjoy it.
Yeah.
How do you do that? Wait, before you get into that, Raisa, I wanted to ask you this
Yeah.
before I forget.
Yeah.
No? You're a single mom. How does community figure in your parenting? Like,
Very
who
much.
helps you?
Very, very much. Like if
Okay.
it wasn't for the
Lolos
people
and
around me,
lolas,
the lolas, my
Titos,
friends
yeah.
actually,
Friends, yeah.
I would have just like,
Yeah.
kunin mo na ako,
Yeah.
Lord.
Yes.
It's really like, because I had them when I was in college and stuff. So if it wasn't for my parents, who I'm very, hi mom and dad, if it wasn't for them taking care of them while I was in school, nothing. I wouldn't
Right.
have been the person I am now. So really, you need to maintain that strong community, not just for your kids, but for yourself as well.
Yes, I like
And
that.
you need that
Because
at
you're gonna
any
go
age.
nuts.
Yeah,
you're gonna go nuts
yeah.
because it's very stressful. I mean, that's why you have your husband.
Yeah.
You have that partner
Yeah.
with you.
Right.
But sometimes your husband doesn't know what he's talking about. So you go to,
What I was
someone
gonna say,
else.
even if there's the two of you, your husband and wife, you still don't know everything.
Oh, you don't know everything.
Oh, yeah.
We have to consult.
Community talaga.
Yeah.
Correct.
And husband and wife, don't forget your once a week date with your spouse so that
yes.
that marriage is
I
strong.
like that.
So we need lolos and lolas as well.
Yeah, it's
Leave the kids there, let them bond with the lolos, lolas, or the titos and titas, because our kids will be as good as our marriage. And
Yes.
if we're a single parent, it will be as good as how we feel about ourselves, our
Yes,
confidence
yes, yes.
in ourselves.
Yeah.
We're the models. We can't get away from that.
Yeah, I once read this article. It's about postnatal depletion. It starts when you're pregnant, and then all the nutrients go to the baby.
Yeah.
And once the first baby arrives, everything is like all baby, right? Then you
Yes,
forget
yes.
your spouse, you
Yeah.
forget your
Yeah.
friends, your family. But it's important to nurture that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because it's for your sanity. And the sanity of your children.
That's correct.
And for me personally, faith plays a very big
Oh,
role.
yes,
That if
definitely.
you have God with you,
Right.
that you know first and foremost, I'm loved by God, so I can love others,
Right, right.
Okay, so our last question. Well, not really. We kind of touched on the enjoy being a parent or parenting, right? But before that, is there any like best practices probably for bringing up a child, raising a child in your own home? What are maybe a few things lang, very, that you've seen worked with Callie, worked with Alonso?
Yeah. For me, I think my main concern is really to keep everything basic as possible, because everything can come at you, and it doesn't matter which generation it's going to come. Like for example, social media only came after Callie's already turned 8 years old. So you can imagine, while I was being a mom to Callie back then, it's so different now with Alonso that I know I have to prepare him differently. So I think that for me, I think it works when you do the basics. You lay the foundation of all the values: respect, trust,
Right.
discipline, and being God-fearing. I think is very important for the
Right.
kids, because once your children fears God, then I know that they will already be more careful about how they're going to be when they're with other kids, when they're with people. And now parang I keep thinking na parang no matter how small the act is at home, kasi the kids naman don't have any notion as to whether you've been with them for 5 days, 5 hours, 5 minutes, so long
Yeah.
as they enjoyed the feeling of being with you.
Enjoyment
Yes.
is important.
Regardless whether what you were doing, whether nagka-crayons lang kayo, timpla kayo ng tang or juice or whatever, inom, or kain, luto, together, everything
I like
that you
what you're
spend.
saying because it doesn't take much.
Wala,
Sometimes you're
hindi.
thinking,
Yes, that's correct.
I
Doesn't
have
take
to
much.
do
It's
so
not
many
even
things.
expensive.
You don't
for
have to
us
spend
parang
money.
There's
Yeah.
this notion that we have
Yeah.
to take our children to these grand vacations, Disneyland, whatever, when really they just want you to sit down beside
Yeah,
them.
and talk to them.
Correct.
and not look at your phone when you're talking
Exactly.
to them.
Be
Yeah.
there. When you're with them, just be there
there.
with them.
Undivided attention.
Yes,
That is really
Callie-
their
Remember
desire.
that,
Yes.
mommies,
Always.
undivided attention is more important than bringing them to
Wherever.
lavish vacations.
Yeah, lavish
Or buying the
vacations.
expensive toys. After you buy the expensive toy, they will put it
give
down
it
and
one
they look
week.
for you again.
I give it 1 week. Yung mga
Well,
toys na ganun.
you're lucky 1 week. The other parents, they have only an hour. They're looking. They don't like anymore to play with the toy.
And,
and spending.
Also, I think it's very important that we, like touching up on what you were talking about kanina, to show them that we're vulnerable. That sometimes we are also weak. That sometimes we cry.
Yeah.
And sometimes we're just not perfect.
Yes.
Kasi for them to grow up seeing you with that struggle, they will value your work
Yes.
even more.
Correct.
They will value your time even more with them. Kasi they know that, my mom has to work. She has to work for us, for my future. So that little time that I'm going to spend with her is precious. So I need to be with her and value
And
that.
what you're doing, I guess, is you're not giving them a standard of perfection because that's
It's true.
impossible, di ba?
Yeah, we should not perfection, but in terms of really all those values that you mentioned of the love for each child is very
Oh,
important.
professionally,
Because
what
will be-
are the things you've seen a lot of parents cry
Yes.
already?
Oh yeah.
Many, plenty.
Ano yung mga parang we'll take notes now? What are the things na very important ingredients in raising a very healthy child emotionally, spiritually, physically in your
Right.
home?
So I will call it, to simplify it from this one, I call it the A, B, C, D, E of parenting. So the A is really the attention, the time. So the 20 minutes to 2 hours per child per day. And if you can, the once a week date or twice a month date or once a month date, really to get to know why this child acts this way and how this child thinks. Then a letter B, we have to build their person and we have to be their cheerleader. Look for the good stuff in them.
Yes.
Don't put them down. Don't criticize them. Don't judge them.
Or compare them.
Or compare them. It's really awful. So that they grow up to be confident and they can say no to all the bad stuff later on when they're teenagers. And the letter C is a combination of we know how to listen and then we talk. But because most moms, we want to talk and talk. we don't listen.
Guilty.
Okay, ha?
So to help you to listen, just repeat in your own words what your daughter or son said. So that, anak, is this what you said? I heard you want to buy this thing or you want to go there. Is it correct? And that one is very powerful. The child feels, wow, mom heard me. I'm important. And when we talk, we have to talk to them the way we talk to our friends. We're respectful, we're nice, we're not, we don't put down, we're not negative. And of course, the letter D is the discipline. We need house rules.
Yeah.
So there are guidelines. We can negotiate. We can make changes if depending on the age-appropriate guidelines for the children. And if they don't behave, avoid spanking. Use consequences. And explain things to the children. I'm sorry, you lost the book. Well, we will have to work to get some allowance so that you can pay for that book. So we have to reduce the shouting and screaming because it affects the self-worth of the children. But I know parents really want the best for the kids. That's why we have to offer them an alternative on how to discipline, because we have to
And
discipline.
I like your advice because you give structure. I think some confuse structure and then being strict.
Yes.
Diba? You don't have to be strict. It's just that you have a way of following
Right.
things and
Yes.
to put order in the lives of our children.
Correct.
They'll also benefit
Yes.
from it,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
How about you, Raisa?
No, like the one thing I wanted to say thank you for is definitely building self-worth. Like I don't know if you guys can relate, but when you grew up, like your parents always say, "Oh, how did you do on your test? How did you do on your test?"
Oh, we can
Patay
relate.
kapag 17.
I can relate.
Right? You can't show your exam papers because you're so afraid, like, mommy won't love me anymore, daddy won't love me anymore. So sometimes parents nowadays, when they see me and my child failed his exam, but I know that he studied so hard for it.
Right.
You,
So you acknowledge the
I told
effort.
them, like,
Yeah.
Oh crap, you failed. I look at it, I acknowledge, okay, you failed. Okay, but that's okay. I know you
What
studied
can we
really
do
hard.
next time? Yeah.
I know you studied hard about it. Let's work on it.
Or how do you feel about this?
Exactly.
I need
Asking
him to
the
know
child,
that
how do
he's
you
not
feel
a
this
number.
way? Right.
He's not a number. You're my son.
Yes.
That grades are not everything,
Exactly.
right? Naku, I'm getting so much from our parents, but we really have to wrap this up. Quickly, briefly, tell me. It's very challenging to be a parent, especially today. I think even back then it's challenging.
Challenging.
Much more today. What makes it worth it?
You know, it makes it worth it every time you wake up and you see your children, they giggle in their sleep. They're so happy while they're sleeping. You know they have a full heart. And when you see them share that heart to others, like just a simple gesture that they show towards the other, like elders or children, that's when parenting is just the best feeling, no? Parang I look at my children and I think to myself, you know what? I've added another 2 beautiful people in this world, and that's
Exactly.
already
Yes.
that's already
Contribution
yeah,
to
that's
society.
contribution
and
to
the world.
society. So that's what makes it all worth it for me.
Raisa?
For me, it's a bit cheesy, but my children's drawings. Like whenever I see them draw us and then me, we're all happy because that's a reflection of how they are inside. That's how they express themselves. And I see that, and I have like so many drawings in my wallet, and I'll show you later. But it just makes me really happy. And then when I come home, you know, you're tired from work, whatever, you hate the world.
I know I said we
Pagpasok
weren't
mo.
gonna cry, but I think
Oo
I'm
nga
going to
pero
cry
ito na
now.
ata yung tissue.
And here's pagpasok mo, and then they come down and they're screaming at you. But it's such a warm feeling. Parang I'm home.
Welcome like a queen.
Exactly. It makes it all worth it. Parang, I hate this job, but you guys make it worth it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, for me.
No, but really parenting at that age, you know, try to make the time for it. I'm
Yeah.
glad I really made the
Yeah.
time for it because when they get to be teenagers,
No.
they're off to their friends.
Malayo pa
It's
tayo.
not that they don't,
They don't
love
want to
us.
hold your hands anymore.
Oh yeah,
They're
no more
like,
kissing.
"Oh."
And then you wait again for maybe about 21 or 22, it will come around again. But you know, so there's really a time that we have to do this active parenting phase, and I'm glad I just did it. You know, it was work and home, work and home. But now that they're bigger, I have more time for the things I want to do. My husband and I can do more stuff together and really enjoy. And you know, I think parenting is the greatest job. I will, you know,
yeah.
and you know, if all families will work towards contributing confident, capable, and caring children to the Filipino society, we will have a happier world here for all of us.
You know, all the moms and even the dads who are watching with us today, I've read this once, but we are the architects of our society.
We are the architects. of-
Because we're
yeah.
raising the next generation. And I thank you, moms, for doing
Thank
your
you.
part. I believe your sons are already making a difference in this world.
Yeah, the-
Ours, we believe that
They
they will,
will.
they will make
Form
this a
them.
better
Yeah,
world,
they
right?
will.
And as a mom, for me, what makes it all worth it is just, you know, the introduction to a profound kind of love. I've never felt this before. I
Yes.
mean, I love my husband, but scientifically, it does something to you, di ba?
Right.
Nagre-release ka pa ng oxytocin and stuff. But there is profound joy
Yes.
and love in being a parent. So thank you for being
Thank you
a
so
great
much.
mom.
For
Thank you for
inviting
joining
us.
us today.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
for having
Rappler,
us.
and everyone also who's with us online. Thank you for joining, and we'll see you later. We'll see everything that you put under the hashtag, and hope to see you again. Thank you. Good afternoon.
The story of who we are begins at home. Home is where our dreams are born, where trust is formed, where love is the norm, where we're taught to let go and when to hold on. Home shapes who we are. But it's what you do that builds a home. No act is too simple. Because when you make it with love, you make it feel like home. Tang. We are homemade. The story of who we are.